Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you ghouls and ghosts out there, I am Dirt Nap Daddy, and that was the Werewolf Rock by the Zombie Dandies. And look at the time, we are approaching the midnight hour, so we're going to take a few more of your call-in rock requests before we transform to our late-night love songs with everyone's favorite succubus spin doctor, Corpse Bride Carol. Caller, you're live on the air.
Hello? Hello?
Caller,
Okay.
did you have a song request?
Listen, I don't have a lot of time. I gotta tell you, your listeners need to know. They need to know.
Okay. Let's cut to commercial.
No. I don't have time. We don't have time.
Okay, take a breath and start from the beginning. Tell our listeners what's happening.
They live in the fucking walls.
Who's living in your walls?
Okay. They're small. They're tiny humanoid things. Trolls, goblins. I don't know what they are. They're what we are thinking of as mythological beings. They're real. They're real. Don't. I'm not crazy. I've seen them. And if we don't stop them, they live in the fucking walls.
We'll be right back with more after this.
We traveled so far. We traveled under the seas. We traveled through mountains and the places only closed eyes can see. Until we lost our way. Forward and backwards, it was all the same. Until one day, someone came. Monsters that live in our walls. She brought the light to us. We had almost forgotten about the light. With light, we could find our way again. We could read our books and sing our stories. We could remember who we were. So much forgotten. But not the light. We still remember the light.
We're the ones who live here, right here in the walls, living in the darkness, scuttle and we crawl. We're the ones who live here, now we want to play, living in the darkness, lead us into the light.
They live in the fucking walls.
It started with a crack. Just a little crack in my bedroom wall. Soon, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to pick at it. Just peeling the paint back a little bit. And then, I peeled it back a little bit more. I kept at it for a little bit every day. Just a little bit more, I kept telling myself. Just a little bit more and then I'll stop. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. So I kept going. I had to. I just had to keep picking. I kept peeling a little bit more. I couldn't help it. Huh? Nothing, Mom. It was all I could think about. Not my dollies. Not my friends at school. Just the hole in my wall that kept getting bigger and bigger. I covered it with a drawing I made of a beautiful sunny day. I did it to hide the deepening darkness that was just on the other side of that piece of paper. No thanks, Mom. I'm okay. One day, after I arrived home from school, I immediately started digging. What started as a tiny crack, just a little crack in my bedroom wall, was now a gaping hole in my wall that led to the darkness that seemed to go farther than could be possible. The hole was now big enough for me to put my whole head through and look around. And so, I did. And what I found inside were the frail, blind people who live inside the walls.
Who is it?
Who has come?
Could it be?
It's someone came.
God?
It's God.
Someone came at last.
A light?
Someone is here. Is there? Someone is here. There's someone here. Here at last.
No. There was a crack. Just a little crack in my bedroom wall. And I picked at it.
Read our books.
No.
The light tells
can't.
our stories.
I'll get in trouble.
Don't go.
I just wanted to see what was inside. I just wanted to see what was inside. I didn't mean to take it. I'm sorry. I'll put it all back. I'll put it all back. Mom! It's okay. Don't come in. I had to cover it up with a hole somehow after they all got through. I stuffed the hole with my stuffed animals and all my pillows and my bed sheets. But they pulled everything as they were trying to call out. I begged them to stop, but they wouldn't. They wanted to see the light. They needed it. And if I didn't let them out, they would eventually pull me in with them.
I love my babies. I always knew I would, even before they were born. As any mother will attest, no birth is without pain.
But I didn't care how much it would hurt. I knew that when I had my babies, they would need me, and they would love me, that they would want to be my babies. I could always feel them moving inside my tummy. The more I felt them, the more proud I became. The bigger I got, the prouder I was. I knew that it was only a matter of time before my babies would come. Then one night,
One beautiful
glorious magical night, my babies were born. Like newborn spawn emerging from an egg, my sweet babies broke through my belly. They peeled through the layers of my flesh from the inside out. They were so hungry, shoving bits of me into their little mouths faster than they could chew, and they still wanted more. As my light fades, I hope my babies know how much I love them. I hope they will grow strong, and one day, when they find their next mother, I hope she will have more to give them. My babies will devour me whole, bones and all, from mother's meat to mother's milk.
Where are you?
John had just moved into the old creaky house at the end of Elm Street.
Come out here now!
The previous owner, a raven-haired woman with haunted eyes, had handed him the keys with a final chilling warning.
They live in the fucking walls.
At first, John dismissed it as the ravings of a crazy woman. But as night fell, the house came alive with unsettling noises. Faint giggles echoed through the halls, and tiny blue shapes darted in the periphery of his vision. John caught sight of one of them, reflected in the mirror, sneaking across the top of the dresser behind him. It was only a few inches tall, skinny, and was wearing a hollowed-out doll's head upon its head. John spun around just as the little monster hopped down onto the bedroom floor and scampered off into the darkness. John heard a crash from the kitchen. He hurried in to find canned food scattered across the floor. A can of beans flew from the cupboard, narrowly missing his head. His heart pounded as he caught a glimpse of a small blue creature with an empty can on its head, vanishing into the shadows, cackling mischievously. Determined to reclaim his home, John grabbed his shotgun. He stalked through the house, his nerves fraying with each passing second.
I know you're here somewhere, and when I find you...
He would see one of the blue creatures peering at him from a corner or skittering along a wall and open fire at it. But they were too quick, disappearing before he could aim properly. This insane game of cat and mouse continued. The tiny creatures seemed to grow bolder, knocking over furniture, pulling at his clothes, and even throwing small objects at him.
I'm gonna kill every last one of you little monsters!
His frustration turned to dread as he fired his last shell. And the echo of the shot faded into an ominous silence as he stood there, breathless and vulnerable. The blue creatures emerged from their hiding places, hundreds of them, with sharp teeth and malevolent grins. There was no escape. They swarmed him, their tiny claws and teeth tearing into his flesh. His screams filled the house, but there was no one to hear. The creatures devoured him, bones and all. By morning, the blue creatures had retreated back into the walls, ready to greet the next unfortunate soul who dared call this house their home.
The rain pounded the streets like a relentless drummer, a fitting backdrop for the case that had landed on my desk. You may refer to me as Lucian, Investigator Lucian. I investigate the paranormal and make it my business to shine light into the darkness. Reports from a rundown house on Elm Street spoke of a man going crazy after spending only a single night inside the house.
Where are you? I know you're here somewhere, and when I find you...
And redecorating with a shotgun. The thing is, upon investigation, only bits of the man's bloody remains were found, along with his empty shotgun. Mrs. Thompson, the previous tenant, swore there were creatures living inside the walls.
They live in the fucking walls.
Despite the gaping holes in said walls, no one listened to her warnings. I had questions. Another strange case included the abduction of several girls in the area, each of which included large holes in the walls of the residences and accounts of whispers and scratching in the walls.
What started as a tiny crack, just a little crack in my bedroom wall, was now a gaping hole in my wall that led to the darkness that seemed to go farther than could be possible. I just wanted to see what was inside. I just wanted to see what was inside. I didn't mean to pick it, I'm sorry. They wanted to see the light. They needed it. And if I didn't let them out, they would eventually pull me in with them.
So many questions. Finally, my phone rang with the promise of an answer.
Hello? Okay. Listen, I don't have a lot of time. I gotta tell you, it's on 3030 Tartarus. The answers are there.
I arrived under the cover of night, the building's creaking frame a symphony of unease. I toured the outside perimeter of the warehouse before announcing my presence. Nothing unusual. The place seemed quiet. I called my contact. I'm here.
Good. Meet me at the front entrance. I'll let you in.
At the front entrance, I met my contact, a slim man in a filthy lab coat.
Come in.
He said, his voice a quiver of fear.
They're in the fucking walls.
He led me inside. I gave the place a once-over, tapping walls and peering into corners. That's where I discovered the huge hole in the wall. A hole so big, you could run a city bus through it. And inside was a deep darkness that went further than should have been possible. The hole should have led outside, but instead, it led to the gaping maw of the abyss. I hesitated, but the promise of answers drew me in. Flashlight in hand, I went in. Should anything happen to me, this taped recording will serve as official record of events. The tunnel was wide enough at first, but as I crawled deeper, it began to narrow. The air grew stale, and the darkness thickened around me. The tunnel shrank more with every foot forward. Panic started to claw at my mind. I could hear it now. Screeching, mumbling, scratching, scurrying. My breathing quickened, echoing in the confined space. I pressed on until the tunnel was too tight to move. I couldn't go forward, couldn't turn around. The walls seemed to close in on me. Panic turned to dread as I realized I was stuck, probably going to die in this godforsaken hole. In the pitch black, something moved. Then again, suddenly.
Traveling slow this way. We held over so much digging. Where can we go? Which way? Near? There's no hole. It's just a crack. Just a crack. Story tell us I saw the light. I saw the bright and beautiful light.
Doctor, do you have a moment? It's the patient in exam room 3.
What's the issue? Do you have his chart?
Yes, right here. The patient's name is Adam Lucian. He was admitted this morning with his right arm missing, just below the elbow.
What? How did that happen?
It looks like something gnawed it off. There are tiny bite marks all around the wound.
Gnawed off? Is he conscious?
He's awake, but incoherent. We haven't been able to get much out of him.
Who brought him in? Can we talk to anyone who was with him?
He was dropped off out front by an unidentified man in a filthy lab coat.
All right, let's see him. Adam, I'm Dr. Hayes. We're here to help. But I need to know what happened. What did this to your arm? Can you tell me anything?
They live in the walls. They're in the walls. They're in the walls. They live 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 in the fucking walls!
Well, they live in the walls. Yeah, they live in the walls. Yeah, they live in the walls. Oh, they living in the walls. How they live in them walls. Cuddle and they crawl, moving through the night, not seen at all. Creeping and they hide in the shadows so tall. Yeah, they live in the walls. Say they live in the walls. Now I hear the whispers, feel the floorboard shake. Something in the corners keeps me wide awake. Scratching at the ceiling, running through the halls. Ain't no escape from what's living in them walls. They scuttle and they crawl, moving through the night, not seen at all. Creeping and they hide in the shadows so tall. Yeah, they live in the walls. Say they live in the walls. Can't hide from the sound. It's everywhere I go. Got a feeling deep inside. They're trying to let me know. Closer every night. They're tearing down my mind. Whatever's in them walls, it ain't leaving me behind. Scuttle and they crawl, moving through the night, not seen at all. Creeping and they hide in the shadows so tall. Yeah, they live in the walls. Say they live in the walls. Oh, they live in the walls. Yeah, they live in the walls. They're never gonna fall, no, no.
If you enjoy the stories you find here, hit the like button. Think of it like applause at the end of a show. Please subscribe and click the top bell for all notifications so that you never miss an episode. And if you wouldn't mind, share this video so that others can discover The Scary Show. Questions, comments, suggestions? Let me know down below. The Scary Show always answers the fans, unless YouTube hides your comments from me.